We're here tonight to present and talk about our Industrial Park 3 Phase 2 project. This is our Industrial Park project. Those of you on the board will probably remember that you previously funded $3 million for Phase 1 of our project. What I plan to do tonight is to bring you up to speed where we are on Phase 1, to talk about Phase 2 and our request for this evening. Here with me is Danielle Goey, who is our on our development team and our grant writer. I'm Pete Hess, I'm the mayor and the project manager, and we also have a host of our elected officials, burgesses from the borough, and some of our engineers here for questions. So let's go to the next slide, Danielle.
Yep, go ahead. I'll bring it up.
I'll start talking about it. So again, the objectives tonight are to bring you up to speed on project progress, to talk about Phase 2, and to tell you as much as we can about the application. And we all know CIF has been created to unlock economic potential for underserved communities, including those that are public investment communities or alliance districts. So I'll just start off by saying that Naugatuck is both. We are a public investment community. We're also an alliance district. And what we're really doing here is we're taking the former site of the United States Rubber Company, which in its day was the largest chemical company in the world, with 38 buildings in Naugatuck, our biggest taxpayer. Well, as we all know, manufacturing left, Unitil Chemical left, or at least about 98% of it left. They knocked down the 38 buildings, and we were left with a non-productive piece of property. So our entire effort in this project is designed to refinish, get the site back on the tax rolls, and take a non-producing piece of property and turn it into, once again, one of our better producing properties in the entire borough. And I'd like to show you a few slides of the site when we started. Are we going to be able to see those on the screen, Danielle?
Yeah, in just a minute.
So the next slides you're going to see are slides of the site, the entire 86.5 acres, in the condition it was in when the buildings were knocked down and there was nothing there. So this was the starting point of the project. Also, you should realize that the borough of Naugatuck acquired ownership of this site about 3 years ago. And we acquired it from Lanxess, who is the successor to the Unitil Chemical Company. And very simply stated, our arrangement with Lanxess is they have to remediate the site. They've already spent 20 to 30 million doing that. And their obligation is remediation. Our obligation is to cap the site, to manage the soils, and to develop the property under a stewardship permit that we received from the state of Connecticut. So we've got quite a few end uses for the site that we know of right now, and more to come. But we're working with a quickly growing, emerging lumber company that backs up one of the largest framers on the East Coast that is currently a Naugatuck taxpayer, and they are expanding. We're working on warehousing, logistic opportunities, and other light industrial uses. And again, this project is one of probably our two, if not our number one priority project in Naugatuck to really get our grand list back in shape. Now, the first thing to know is, that's very important, is phase one is now underway. So you funded 3 million, we haven't spent 5 cents of that yet. We've done a lot, but phase one is underway. There are currently 2 buildings that are under construction, about halfway done in phase one of the subdivision. We have completed, since our last presentation to you, the subdivision of the land. So we have a slide showing the subdivision of the land, which has been approved by all of our land use boards. And we are moving ahead with that plan. We've completed the obviously the design for phase one. It went out to bid. We tonight will be awarding the bid for phase one road infrastructure matters, and going full speed ahead of phase one. And tonight we're here for phase two, which will be the second phase of our subdivision. Now, I can't tell from the screen what you're looking at, but in our slides, we have the subdivision plan we should pull up.
Yep, just popped it up.
And do they have, is a map on there?
Yeah, so this is what they're.
Okay, this is what they're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the subdivision plan, you can see phase one and phase two. In essence, the upper portion of the map, everything above the new road you see is phase one that is underway, and everything below it is phase two. So the purpose of this application is to gain some additional funding, an additional $3 million that we're applying for in order to complete the road network for phase two of our subdivision. We completed the assistance agreement for phase one. And I think, most importantly, in addition to buying the land, we are putting up for phase one and phase two, a $7 million town match. So the borough of Naugatuck has a significant amount of skin in the game, 7 million of town money. There will be 6 million of state money. There's the private money from Lanxess that has been used for the remediation. And we've got some other things going on. In addition, since our last meeting, we've completed some stormwater drainage repairs to Cherry Street in Naugatuck, which is part of a drainage network that ties into this site and takes the drainage through the site out to the Naugatuck River, which will provide quite a few benefits to the surrounding neighborhoods. So tonight's request, very simply stated, is a request for $3 million for phase two of our industrial subdivision. And I would like to point out our funding sources, which are on a separate sheet. And just so you know, the borough, as I said, is putting in 7 million. We've already spent an additional $1 million of town funds for design and engineering of the subdivision. We've previously received a CIF $3 million grant that you know about and approved. And tonight we're asking for the second $3 million for phase two of the subdivision. We also we're showing the soil management funds that we received, the stormwater drainage improvements, and the funding from Lanxess, who is the successor to Uniron. And just to show you how these funds break down, I'd like to go to
Yeah.
a slide which shows that when we look at the total pot of money that okay, so 51% in red comes from Lanxess for the remediation costs. 13% is federal funding, 15% is state funding from CIF, and 21% of the funding for the entire project is coming from the borough of Naugatuck. Next slide. Now, when you take out the Lanxess contribution privately, if we're only looking at federal, state, and local money, 27% is federal, 31% is state, and 42% is local. So when I say skin in the game, we really mean it. We acquired the site, we're developing it, designed it, moving it along, and putting in 42% into this project. So we are all in. Now, as far as the impact, right off the bat, this company that we're working with, International Supply, they are they always have been one of the largest framers on the East Coast of the United States, but they started their own lumber company in order to supply themselves and others with lumber. And they have made a very significant investment to date, and they continue to keep expanding in our industrial park. Right there, while they're awaiting construction, they are building two buildings which are under construction, which we have could you put that up, Danielle? So International Building Supply is currently building two separate buildings in phase one of our industrial park. And in the next slide, I think it clearly shows you where they're coming from. We're showing $8 million in lumber that we are storing on the site that they will be building warehousing for and some assembly areas. So this is a very significant, large company that has already started expanding in Naugatuck and wants to continue with approximately 4 more additional buildings. Now in Naugatuck, when we talk about CIF requirements and demographics, as I said, we're a public investment community. We're an alliance district. We have 33% of our citizens are Alice families, and we have a large amount of blue collar workers in Naugatuck. We are within 2 miles of our project site. Residents score higher than federal and state percentiles as far as being equity and economically disadvantaged, unemployment rate, linguistic isolation, and higher than state average for those with less than a high school diploma. So in essence, what we're doing is we're presenting high quality job opportunities, not just for our residents, but for people who surround us. We're right on the train line, so it's a perfect spot for people to commute to. The citizens in the area will have access to workforce development opportunities. We're working with labor unions and trade unions to allow our high school students and other members of the community to get jobs and to get paid while they're learning the trades. And we have a great partnership with our labor unions. And we're really trying to create some better jobs, not just for our residents who are here now, but for people who want to come to Naugatuck and want to move into our new residential project, which is downtown and about a half a mile away from these new lots in the industrial park. So just to summarize, I think it's fair to say we have an extremely significant interest here. We bought the land. We're all in on our own investment. We're working every day on the project. We have a great development team. I would encourage anyone who wants to see it to come and look at it. And come to Naugatuck. We'll give you a guided tour. And we're very, very excited about this project. So I guess at this time we can take questions. Or Danielle, first of all, is there anything you want to ask?
Yeah, let me emphasize a couple of things on this. So first of all, thanks Pete for taking us through these slides. I know we had a couple technical difficulties. I want to go back to this slide. So this skin in the game thing, I think something that you'll see in our CIF application that I'll mention repeatedly is, there's going to be a one-to-one investment rate here, and that's something that the state's looking for. So for every dollar that the state's going to spend down, we're going to have to put $1 in. And so it's not just like we're asking for money with nothing to back up our investment. This is truly something that we feel that this project is a strong project that's going to change the Naugatuck Valley region. And as such, we're putting our money into the project. And then I also just wanted to point out the alignment of this project with the governor's economic action plan that was created a few years ago. So conservative estimates are showing job creation rates of about 600 jobs for the entirety of phase 1 and 2. And that's very conservative job estimates. And say that the state in total for phase 1 and 2 invest $6 million, right? We get $3 million under phase 1, which we received, and they invest another $3 million. If $6 million divided by 600 jobs created conservatively, that's $10 million, or that's $10,000 of state investment per job created. And that aligns with what the governor's hoping to do, which is, spend less than $10,000 per job created. And historically, as a state, we've spent significantly more than that. So this is a good investment for the state and for the borough. And then I just kind of really want to talk about our labor force. So like Pete was saying, this is going to be a job creator and a significant job creator for the Naugatuck Valley region because we're on the train line. It's not just going to be for Naugatuck Valley Naugatuck residents, it's going to be for Valley residents as a whole. And Naugatuck specifically is really special because we have the workforce that's ready to train, is capable of learning, and is ready to fill these open positions that will come. And so I'll talk a lot about that in our application. And those were kind of my 3 main points.
Okay, so we'll open it up to questions, even from, I guess, the board or anyone on Zoom or anyone from the public.
I see who we got here.
I'm gonna go to my chair, okay?
Yeah, no problem. And I also see that Ricardo from the NBCOG is on as one of our participants. And his funding that the NBCOG has been really vital in a partnership for this site. The NBCOG subawards money through the US EPA. And so his funding source is included in some of the federal funds that you guys saw earlier in some of our slides. So hi, Ricardo. And then there's only a few other people. So if anybody has questions, feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll probably end off and send this recording out after the meeting.
So $10,000 per job created is the state's target?
Yeah, so historically it's been more like 13 to 15,000 per job. And so they're trying to get down 10,000 or under.
Okay.
And so we're right on target.
Okay, and we use a conservative estimate of jobs?
Yeah, super conservative. We're saying 600, but based on just some of the people that we have interested in now, like in the sites now, they're thinking more than that.
So could we use a range rather than a conservative estimate?
Yeah,
okay.
I want to give the conservative estimate because you don't want to for this, I want to make sure that I'm not giving the state something that's not reasonable.
No, I totally understand that, but we could give both.
Yeah.
The conservative estimate is this, but we've heard estimates of up to,
Absolutely.
so that's a range of jobs that we're creating.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, if there are no questions, maybe give one more shot and then we can close the, hearing.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.